Hi, this is my electronic poster presentation, talking about leadership and my experience within leadership. I have, before this module, I had little to none experience. Apart from I did work placement, which I was leading groups on the climbing wall and mountain biking, and it was a different range of age groups, which required me to adopt different leadership styles as well as a different model. And I think I learned that picking the right leadership style to a certain age group or a particular group is very important for the learning outcomes and for the group mood throughout the day. I found with children climbing, we had schools that I picked up a more autocratic leadership style because we were limited to a certain time frame, and we would like to get all the children to have maybe 2 or 3 goes on the wall. So having an autocratic style but still maintaining a high group mood helped achieve this. As for teenagers and mountain biking, I used a very laissez-faire leadership style. This allowed them basically to, well, I demonstrated some skills, and then this allowed them to go and try them out by themselves. And I was using the action-centered leadership model because I had a plan. We had the goal to achieve that I had to achieve by the end of the session, so I was always focused on the task in hand. During this module, I didn't lead any sessions. I watched, I was watching the leaders, and I'm a very visual learner. I find watching people a lot easier to pick up, more so than either reading or sometimes even doing. I find with water-based activities, which most of this module is on, that hand signals and communication is very important because during the water, when you're in the water, it's hard. Sometimes the groups get separated and it's hard to communicate with each other if you have a low voice, or sometimes even if you're loud and they're just too far away, maybe use some hand signals if you go through that before. And I would use the Colt leadership theory for water-based activities, just mainly because the role of the rivers can change any given day. You don't really know exactly how it's going to be, exactly how the days go. So you can adopt a different style on the day, and if you could be very laissez-faire for the day, and then if something tends to go wrong, then you can go autocratic because if something goes wrong in a river, it can end up fatal. Communication it's best kept short and sweet. Try not to put too much information into people's head to get them thinking too much, so they can focus on one role. And I found that during the expedition, that some people ended up knowing what to do, and other people just didn't really know. This could have been from maybe too much information, or quite simply lack of hand signals, or maybe telling some of the group that was beside them, and then a group either got left behind or straightforward weren't informed of this. Okay. How are we going to put this in future practice? Well, during water-based activities, I am going to use the Colt model whenever I'm leading, so I can adopt different leadership styles whenever I need to, and I would go through hand signals of what I might use on the day before we actually get on the water, so everyone knows what we're doing. This is just for safety issues. If we need to get into an eddy, then going through hand signals can make sure that everyone knows hand signals for this, and then it's unlikely that people stray down the river. I think I need to be more vocal. If I give more communication to the group, just give them the information that they need and only the information they need, instead of waffling and telling them too much that they possibly don't even need to know. For reviews, I would personally use a review if possible. Depending on the activity, use a review during lunchtime, halfway through the activity, and then a review at the end. This is because I think this makes it easier to see the change in moods, where if people aren't too happy during the first session, first half of the day, and then they're happier during the second session, it's easier to pinpoint why their mood changed and how it's affected them. One of the leaders used a emotion chart, and I thought that was very effective, because it used a time frame which allowed you to see exactly what time people's mood went up or went down, depending on weather or anything that went wrong. So that's good communication, effective reviews, and effective style. I think the leadership style can basically have the leadership style can affect how the whole day goes. If you choose a bad style, maybe an autocratic style, whenever you don't need to, where you tell the group basically what to do and how it's done, this is how you're going to do it. I think using that for a group of maybe more experienced people, this can make them feel below you and not very comfortable with the whole situation. So maybe a laissez-faire style or democratic, so they feel involved in the decision making. So yeah, effective style is important for the group, and effective model. A lot of times I would use the action-centered leadership, where if I have a goal I have to achieve from the activity, I would have that be focused on that throughout the day and work towards achieving it. However, maybe on border-based activities, I feel more comfortable using the code model, where I can adapt the leadership styles whenever I need to if something goes wrong. Yeah, so that is my video presentation. Is there any questions?
You mentioned using Adair's action-centered leadership and also CULT.
Yep.
What are the kind of positives and negatives of these leadership styles?
I think using the CULT model, sometimes that can seem to the group that you don't have much, that you aren't really showing leadership skills as such, because you can just adapt and change whenever you like. So you can go from being democratic, involved in the group, autocratic, and then if something happens and you don't need to be like that anymore, you need that style, then you can adapt and change and maybe go laissez-faire, and then I think that can have effect on the group, because they can see that start you're leading and then you're just basically sitting back and watching. And action-centered leadership is mainly focused on developing the individual and developing the group as a team, as well as focusing on the task. But well, from my work experience, there was some activities where I didn't have a goal that needed to be achieved. It was just generally to have fun. So it's not really a task that needs to be focused on as such, but just to make sure that people get their goals and can enjoy themselves. So I think that's a negative for the action-centered leadership, is that you are constantly focused on the task itself. Any other questions?
You mentioned that you didn't actually take part in any of the leading as part of this module. Do you think you would have benefited if you had?
I think maybe leading, if I was to lead one activity towards the end, would have benefited me, because like I mentioned, I'm a visual learner, so I learn more by by actually watching people do it and picking up on what they do that's effective and what they can improve on, and then put that into perspective for me. But I think watching the group and watching the leader, how he leads, how he or she leads the session, and then putting that into practice for maybe one of my sessions if I could have led towards the end after getting a chance to watch. I think that would